Welcome to Fort Farallon Battlefield. Thank you for your interest in becoming a docent here at Fort Farallon. The videos and information are not a definitive history, but basic information while you're conducting tours here at Fort Farallon. More information can be available. In the 1670s, a grant of 12,000 acres on the western Cooper River was issued to Lord Proprietor Sir Peter Colleton. The estate was called Farallon Barony. The Native American trail northwestward through the area was called the Congaree River Road or the Cherokee Path. The Colleton family constructed a three-story brick home at Farallon about 1735, and it was called Colleton Mansion or Colleton Castle. Louisa Carolina Colleton Graves, who was born in the mansion in 1763, described it as magnificent. The home was used as a hospital during the American Revolution and was located about a mile from what we call Fort Farallon. In the spring of 1780, the British intended to capture Charleston and the surrounding areas. By taking Monk's Corner in mid-April, they were able to close supply and communication lines between the inland Berkeley County and the city. Overnight, on April 14, 1780, several British troops left Monk's Corner and descended upon Colleton Castle. One of them shockingly abused and maltreated 4 women there, including Louisa Carolina Colleton. The men were arrested and tried. The women were escorted to another plantation, and Colleton never returned to the castle. By summer 1781, construction on the Farallon Redoubt began, likely by the slaves. The redoubt was 100 square feet, surrounded by the moat, some which can still be seen today. There are also remains of a brick structure inside the fort, which may have been an oven or a powder magazine. The soldiers stationed at Farallon did not sleep inside the fortification, but instead camped between the fort and Colleton Castle. The British used the nearby Colleton Castle as a main stop on their supply and communication system to the South Carolina backcountry. They could use the tidal power to float supplies and personnel to and from Charleston on the Cooper River and Biggins Creek. Abattis were installed around Colleton Castle and the adjacent outbuildings. On November 16th, British Captain Murdoch McLean wrote to Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Stewart that a group of Patriot troops were likely headed to Farallon. McLean had about 50 soldiers at the redoubt and no guards at Colleton Castle. The Patriots that McLean mentioned were likely Marion's men, whom he had sent to stop the British plundering in this area. 155 slaves had been taken from Whig plantations but were sent to Charleston ahead of the approaching Patriot troops. The next day, Patriot Lieutenant Colonel Hezekiah Mayhem, Colonel John Sevier, and Colonel Isaac Shelby attacked the hospital at Colleton Castle. The British surrounded without a fight, and the soldiers stationed at Farallon Redoubt did not intervene. Mayhem, Sevier's, and Shelby forces captured about 90 British soldiers, officers, and doctors. Those well enough to travel were taken as prisoners of war. Before November 24, 1781, the fort was abandoned by the British. Colleton Castle had been burned to the ground, and the two opposing parties both blamed each other for this. General Nathaniel Greene began to lose siege of supplies going to Charleston from land in early March of 1782, though the British still commanded the seas. Greene assigned Marion, the area north of the Cooper River, to quell any Loyalist activities or commerce with Charleston. No further military action happened at Farallon. On December 14, 1782, the British evacuated Charleston. In September 2016, the Lord Berkeley Conservation Trust purchased Fort Farallon and 80 surrounding acres. The site is permanently protected with a conservation easement held by the South Carolina Battleground Trust. During the Revolution, the known usage of the word fort to describe the redoubt at Fort Farallon was Lieutenant Colonel Hezekiah Mayhem British Captain Murdoch Maclean always called it a redoubt. The origin of the word fort portion of the name is uncertain, but has been used locally for about a half a century. Several thorough archaeological reviews of the redoubt site have been conducted. Most of the recovered artifacts are now on display at the Berkeley County Museum. Several artifacts, including a silver button, were retained by the Lord Berkeley Conservation Trust. Removing more of the trees in the fort and surrounding area would cause damage to the earthworks. Protection from tree coverage is one of the reasons the earthworks still exist in the 21st century. Scrub brush and small trees were removed. The fort is approximately half a mile from the Cooper River. During the Santee Cooper hydroelectric project, the headquarters of the river were dredged and rerouted. The dredged material was deposited adjacent to Fort Fairlawn. This land is now home to Cedar Island and Fairlawn subdivision, part of which you may see on your walk to the redoubt. Fort Fairlawn is a part of the Liberty Trail, a driving route through South Carolina that connects Revolutionary War sites. The American Battlefield Trust has partnered with the South Carolina Battleground Trust to lead this historic effort to protect the sites along the Liberty Trail.